don't really know how I ended up in here, to be honest. I come from a background of HR and of legal, so not necessarily parts of business that you would associate with being creative. And I have a thing that I like to learn something new every single year, no matter what. It can be degree level, it doesn't matter, but I like to challenge myself. And I was just searching online for some clip art one day. I remember it very clearly. This was back in early 2010. And I came across a program called Art Abundance. And I thought, that's interesting, a nice little play, art and abundance. And before I knew it, I ended up applying for this coaching training. It's one of those things where it literally presented itself to me and I thought, this is the right thing for me. And so I did that, and I graduated in March 2011, I think. And yeah, from there I realized that I am a creative being. We're all creative beings, and have had some really interesting experiences. Yes, I'm a great believer in magic. I really am. And so I think that's the magical part of ourselves. But we also have to allow ourselves to be open to this. I'm always reminded of that great story I was told many years ago by my grandmother, and it was about a man was drowning, and he was saying, "God, help me, help me," and a lifeboat man turned up, and all these different things, and in the end, obviously, he disappeared. And when he got to the gates, he said, "Well, God, why didn't you come and help me?" And he said, "But I did." And it just reminds me of that. You have to sometimes suspend belief and also follow your intuition. Always follow your heart.
Sometimes there's a tension between the logical part of ourselves and the intuitive. And in your work as a coach using play, how do you promote kind of following this way of the heart, or following our intuition?
One of the big things that I'm an advocate of is just going back to the child. Go back to the child self, really indulge in the playfulness. I'm also a laughter yoga teacher as well, which is fascinating. And that really does enable you to switch very quickly into a child, because you're really going after the giggly, silly self and running around. But all of the art exercises and the movement exercises that we do as well in sessions, they all contribute to releasing the adult self. You literally drop off that adult cloak, and out comes your inner child, which is quite beautiful to see. It can take quite a few sessions, because for most of us, we're taught, particularly as women, I hasten to add, it feels as though we're not able to play. If you think of men, they can play football, they can play cricket, all kinds of things. We as women don't tend to play in our downtime, so to speak. It's sewing or quilting or even needlework or all kinds of things like that. There's always a purpose behind it. So I find that women have a really hard time dropping that mantle and actually doing something which is a real gift for them, giving themselves permission just to play, because it seems like a useless exercise because there's nothing that's an out product from it. But there is very much an out product, but maybe it's just not tangible in the way that they could see or put in a shopping basket.
That's interesting. When you talk about playing, as in playing football, immediately to me, football is not, I don't really associate football with being a game so much, because people take it so seriously. There's an outcome. If people don't win, if whole countries can get depressed because their team win in the World Cup, Yeah,
that's true. Yes, I'm thinking more of the Sunday league, when the men pile out of the pubs on Saturday night with a hangover, and then they come in on Sunday morning and do the run around in the pouring rain, and their women are standing there cheering them on and mopping up blood and things.
Yes. Yeah, that's quite that you paint a very different picture of football. From what I see, it's like it's just so competitive. And I think there's a difference between play that has an outcome, for example, scoring a goal, and play that has no competitive outcome. And it's very often those kind of games that people don't engage in as much, like on a Sunday afternoon. Do people get together and just play without any kind of outcome, or do they think that's just wasting time?
Yeah, I think you've hit a very important point now. I remember Christmases was the only time we ever used to get Trivial Pursuit out and actually sit down as a family and play a game together. And that wasn't competitive. That was just enjoying having family time together. And we do seem to be very disenfranchised from that sense nowadays of play, which is very sad, very, very sad. It's, as you say, it's all very competitive or combative in some cases, and I don't believe that was the purpose of play. If you think of a child, when they play, they're using it as a learning experience, and that's how I like to invite people to experience play, as a learning experience.
And some coaching can be very outcome driven as well. Some people will pay a lot of money to coaches because they are interested in achieving particular tangible outcomes in terms of success. And very often people won't engage, people won't pay hundreds of pounds for a coach if what they want to learn is like to play or to enjoy life. There needs to be a tangible outcome.
Yes, I mean, very much so, but the whole aspect of play in the way that I use it is to actually bring them to that goal. I mean, some people may come to me and they may actually not have a real issue that presents itself to them, one they really desperately need to fix. They just have this sense of unease that something isn't quite right in their life at the moment, slightly unbalanced. Also, we do it in business coaching as well, which is really interesting. So it does take things slightly off beam. And no, you may not come out with the, yes, I've hit a £10,000 a month goal, but there will be other outcomes that you can definitely measure yourself on.
And this sense of well-being, how do people know that they have a greater sense of well-being?
Again, that's a very interesting question. For some of them, it's just a deep sense of knowing. For others, it's actually a reflection of what's going on around them. So they may well have been having difficulties within a family relationship, for example, or a business relationship. And they find that after having worked together for a few sessions, that things have magically seemed to have disappeared or have changed profoundly for the positive. And so that again is just part of the process that we go through. It's, you're actually working on yourself, so you're transforming yourself. You're not looking, as a life coach would, at tangible steps in your life that you're aiming to achieve. You're actually looking at yourself, your mindset, your confidence levels, and just basically how you present yourself to the world and your own perception of yourself. And we all know if you change yourself, then you can change the world. I like to imagine that everybody is creative. You know, for example, everybody gets up in the morning and they choose what they're going to wear today. And that is a creative choice. You're adapting to whatever it is that's in front of you today. So, for example, if you're waking up in the morning and you're going to a yoga class, you're not going to choose to wear the same clothes that you would wear for a full-on business meeting where you've got 100 top CEOs attending, for example. So for me, it's very much, you can't take one and say this is the one that really is creativity and its flow. It's got to be the whole process, the whole model. But wherever we are in the world and whatever we are doing in that moment, we always have a conscious choice to choose a creative aspect. It's just the way the mind frees itself. Of expressive artwork, so it's not just about using creative exercises, which may include mixed media or just crayons, chalks, even collage work, journaling. A lot of it is also about the movement, actually getting us moving and moving out of something and out of our circumstances. And so that could be dance, it could be laughter yoga, it could just be getting up and just stamping and, you know, or just flinging our arms up in the air. It could be any range of those. And so you have to listen really, really quietly and closely without judgment to every single person that comes in front of you, because every single one of them has a very different story, and you have to be able to adapt very quickly without any preconceptions.
And how do you ensure that, you know, that their story changes in a way that is ecological? Because sometimes what I've noticed is that with coaching, when it's not ecological, people can end up being so disruptive in their families because they have goals which are not in alignment with the best interests of the whole, the context, as it were. And that can lead to traumas that were not predicted.
That I've never actually seen happen. I've only ever seen things happen for the positive. So I guess I've just been really lucky. Really lucky.
Yeah.
But a lot of the exercises that we do, it builds a library for them to be able to go back and revisit at any time. And we do also very much actively involve the whole family to become involved in that. So although they are going through coaching themselves, they take away these exercises that they can do with other family members, not at the same time as they're going through their coaching, but just to have tucked away for a rainy day. And maybe that's why, I don't know, we haven't had so much discord within the family. But yes, I mean, it is very difficult for some family members who may well have it invested that you stay exactly the same, because that's the way the dynamics in the family work. And by you wanting to change something and become free, or to just move slightly in a different direction, can be very disruptive. But we try to just keep that play. It's not all laughter and love and bubbles, you know. There's not many clients I've ever worked with who haven't cried lots and lots and lots, and that's just part of the genuine healing process as part of the work. But no, I think if you can hold that space and hold it really well, then you can empower your client to go forward and to bring a greater positive energy towards their family dynamic. It's really important to have a daily practice, a really resilient, strong daily practice, and that can appear in many different ways. One of the most simple ones that puts me at ease is the morning pages routine from Julia Cameron. And I know that when I'm struggling or having a tough time, it's because I've lapsed on my morning pages, basically just dumping everything out first thing in the morning. So yeah, I'd always recommend people to find something that really makes them happy, really fills them with joy, and try and bring that into their daily routine in some way.